could be here, a woman's guide to construction careers. And
Absolutely.
I know that you said that, especially with the percentage of women who are not industry, but the need for women in the industry. Aside from that, what has inspired you to write this book?
Um, the little girl in me that didn't have the me to look up to or to ask the questions about. I wrote this book because in the work that I do, whether it's the work through Procore or just volunteering or even through teaching, recognizing all the questions that I would get from the women, um, whether I'm at a conference and someone's like, "Oh, you're in construction. How did you do that?" Or it could be a construction conference, and being a woman in the industry, how do I advance? How did you make those transitions to advance in your career? Or when I was department chair, it would I would get so many young women asking me like, how, do you navigate this career? And so it dawned on me. I started getting a lot of people reaching out to me from LinkedIn, and I don't know how to say no. So when people want to interview or they want to stop me and talk, I want to do all these things. But I was like, what is a way that I can just mentor everybody at one time? And maybe I should put it in a book. And so that is how the book came out. It is a tool to help with my mission to help advance the industry. And I created it because recognizing the gap that we have, and also recognizing the labor crisis that we're in, I knew that this needed to be written, and it needed to be written now.
Absolutely. So why is it that you think that construction is not it's clearly in front of us, but why do you think that many people don't realize the opportunity that exists in construction?
In my book, I talk about, I think this is like in the very beginning in the introduction. Um, and it talks about the images that we're used to seeing. Even today, and I'm probably going to do this study, if you ask a group of young kids, and I had often when I go to classrooms or I go and talk to kids in schools, um, I will hold up different pictures and ask them, like, who do you think is the person that works in construction? And it's usually not the women that they pick. And
Mm.
so, the representation at an early age, early exposure is where we as an industry, construction have really dropped the ball. Now we're doing better. What you're starting to see are companies really highlighting the diversity within their companies. You can go on YouTube, you can go on TikTok, you can go on any of the social media outlets or any of the construction companies' website, especially large construction companies. They are promoting women, they are promoting people of color, they're embracing the diversity that they have within their corporate culture. Because when you do that, when people can see themselves in an industry or in a place, it definitely helps create and draw more people to that industry. And so I think part of the challenge we've had was making construction accessible to everyone. Again, this is why I wrote the book. You can be here, letting women know that you can be here, you can be her, you can be a woman in the industry. One of the things I highlight in the book are professional women in the industry that have done amazing things, from project engineer to CEO, from owning their own trade company, being a CEO of a steel company, from being an attorney who inherited their father's construction business and like killing it. And so just wherever your entry point is, you can be in this industry. I have a young woman who was in college at the time of the book, who's now graduated, who's full force working into her construction career and is thriving. So wherever you are in life, in pursuit of your career, whether you're undecided, whether you want to explore a construction career, that brings me to another point that I point out in the book. In my experience, um, I would teach a class and an introduction to construction class, and it would be filled with around 115 to 120 students. And I would ask a simple question in that class, and it never fails. The response would be one of three things. I would ask, um, how did you get into construction, or how did you pick construction as being your major? And students and I'd have like five multiple choice questions for them to respond to. Like, it's been a passion for you. You've always known, um, you're just trying it out. You're actually in another major and just kind of want to see where things are. Um, you want to be in the built environment, but not exactly sure where. So, sometimes students come from architecture, they come from engineering, and then decide that they want to pursue a construction career. And then, my parents just made me do it. And so, I ask these questions, and the results I get, I consolidated into like three categories. You're either an explorer, a naturalist, or a legacy. A naturalist is somebody like me, just naturally drawn to the built environment. Even though I said my grandfather was a carpenter, that's not what drew me to buildings. I've always loved them. I've always liked building with my hands. I was naturally drawn to the built environment. An explorer is someone who maybe is changing their career. So they want to explore a construction career. Maybe they are a very business savvy person and they want to start a construction business. They want to explore construction. Maybe it's someone who's changing their major, like a college student who wants to explore something else. And then there's the legacy, which is construction has typically been in a career where the company business is passed down from generation to generation. And oftentimes you'll have a woman who actually is a legacy, what was probably also a naturalist, but wasn't
Mhm.
exposed to the construction career. Because as young girls, we weren't given the tools and the hard hats and the things that we
Mhm.
were given the dolls. And this could have been somebody who's always like me, that was passionate about building, but just didn't know that there was a way to go. But legacies are people who it was in your family, you have a relative, or you have a family business in construction. And so those three categories is where I've often seen where people landed and how they've kind of come to being in construction.
So what are some career paths inside this industry that many people may overlook or don't even think about?
Okay. So, as I mentioned before, we are definitely in this digital transformation period for construction. And some of the careers that people don't think about are those tech savvy careers in the industry. When I started out, you could absolutely work in the trades. You could be a construction manager, which I didn't even know was a thing when I first started. I initially went to school, my undergrad was at Tuskegee University, and I started out as an architecture major. Remember, I said I like to draw buildings too. And so naturally, architecture seemed like a good fit. It wasn't until I had an internship at an architectural firm that they put me in their construction management department. I didn't know construction management was a thing. So I went
Mhm.
back to school. I didn't even recognize that construction management and architecture were under the same umbrella. And
Mhm.
so I decided to dual major in construction management and realized that I like more I was more passionate about the operations and how things worked and how to make things better on operationally as opposed to physically building or drawing. And that's how I got into construction management. And so one of the career paths and opportunities in the industry that people don't even think about is being a pre-construction manager. I bring this up because this is the architect of the budget and strategy of a building. And so people who may be watching this, like, budget strategy, wait a minute, are you talking about like numbers? Yeah, I'm talking about numbers. In construction, you have to know math, you have to know numbers, and I don't want to scare people away by saying that because that's not the only thing that we do. But if you are, for example, people may not know about a project accountant position. This is the person who actually manages the accounting on a construction project. So, could you be an accountant and work in construction? Absolutely. And some of the positions that you don't hear about are some of those new tech positions that didn't even exist when I started out, like a drone pilot or surveyor. This is somebody who uses aerial technology in real time to inspect job sites. Building information modeling or BIM manager. This is somebody who manages the 3D modeling of a project. And so these are career opportunities that didn't even exist 20, 30 years ago.
Awesome. So, how important is mentorship to be successful in this industry, and how do you find a good mentor?
Mentorship is extremely important, and it's important particularly for women and those underrepresented because we don't know about the opportunities that are with us, and oftentimes that are available, I should say, in the industry. And oftentimes when we're with or when we belong to a construction organization or work for a construction company, we don't know how to navigate advancing in the career. And so having a mentor, someone who could help be that guide, be that coach to help you is key, is essential. And not only do you need a mentor, but you need what we call a sponsor. A mentor is going to advise you. They're going to help you um, be aware of the opportunities that you could pursue and persist in the industry, but a sponsor is going to help you get to that next level. They're going to say, hey, you need to be on this project. They're going to physically walk you through how to get to that next level within the organization that you're in.